Super Happy Awesome Movie Time!
Hi, welcome to Super Happy Awesome Movie Time, Episode 2. I'm Drosh.
And I'm Jim.
This time we're going to be discussing James Whale's The Old Dark House. Whale directed The Old Dark House shortly after he made Frankenstein. This film was based on the novel Benighted by J.B. Priestley, which was published in the U.S. as The Old Dark House. The story is a groundbreaking horror tale of waylaid travelers seeking shelter and meeting up with unspeakable horrors. We open with Philip and Margaret Waverton, along with their friend Roger Pendrell, lost in a storm. A mudslide cuts them off, and they have no choice but to seek shelter in an old dark house owned by the Femme family. It's there that they meet the ghoulish yet prim Horace Femme and the dowdy, antagonistic, and somewhat selectively deaf Rebecca Femme. These siblings have a dumb manservant, the unshaven, brutish Morgan, portrayed by Boris Karloff. The Femmes are an odd lot with closets full of skeletons, including an ancient father cloistered upstairs. There's also a locked room in the attic, and an insane pyromaniac brother. They're joined by another pair of travelers, Sir William Porterhouse and Gladys Perkins, his companion that he's not actually in love with. Porterhouse is raucously portrayed by Charles Laughton in his first American film. They try to make the best of things while they wait out the storm, when Morgan hits the bottle and starts to get all bad touch with Mrs. Waverton. There's also a romantic story between Perkins and Pendrell, a futile quest for a lamp, and potatoes. And while there's absolutely no gore to speak of, Whale piles on the atmosphere and dark humor that makes his Old Dark House an unknown classic of the genre. So I first came across this film when it was playing late at night on Turner Classics, and I was immediately drawn into it. And there's just so many things going on, it really, really got to me.
Let's talk about our main characters.
Well, it won't help things, losing your temper.
I've never been in a better temper in my life. I love driving 100 miles through the dark, practically without headlights. I love the trickle of ice-cold water pouring down my neck. This is one of the happiest moments of my life.
I don't want to frighten Mrs. Waverton.
Go on, Mr. Pendrell. I'm not easily frightened.
Aren't you? I am.
Did they ever say whether they picked him up or whether he was a friend?
I think he must be a friend. I think they must know him somehow.
Okay. But they're doing nothing but complaining. These three characters, from the get-go, are completely unlikable. It's kind of like the horror movies nowadays when we're introduced to all the characters, you just wish something bad is going to happen to them. That's how I felt. I wanted something bad to happen to these people. And what happens to them in the movie isn't bad enough for me. However, they do become likable once they get to the house. Right, Josh?
Yes. So when they get to the house and we meet the Femmes, well, I want to call them a couple, but they're not, because they're siblings and they have a manservant, and there's other people, other characters that crop up later in the house. The Femmes are just so odd and off and antagonistic that it makes our initial kind of annoying trio much more likable. Because
they don't get any better. They just become better because the scale shifts.
Have a potato.
Later on in the movie, we're introduced to Porterhouse and Gladys. Now, Porterhouse is probably my favorite person in the movie. He's played by Charles Laughton, who's one of my favorite actors, at least in my top 10. And just as a side note, he also directed one of Josh and mine's favorite movie of all time, altogether now, Night of the Hunter.
I thought you were never going to open that door.
Charles Laughton actually is one of the strongest performers in this film, even though Karloff gets the top billing. This was released after Frankenstein, and people were kind of like Karloff, Karloff.
But I have to ask, Drosh, how does he fit into this picture? Please explain it to me.
I'm not certain. There is that moment where Horace says, where Porterhouse asks Morgan, "Who's Morgan?" And Horace says, he's the butler. There's this weird pause in there.
Did Karloff have to play Morgan?
No.
No. I really think there's a wealth of people that could have done that.
Yeah. Maybe even better, but then again, it's...
Have a potato.
Overall, I must say I did enjoy the tone of the movie. It had a very classic and gothic look to it.
No, not that kind.
Yes, the traditional version of Gothic with high walls and ceilings and a house that is apparently bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Yeah, apparently 4 stories tall, at least inside.
Oh, Mr. Waverton, what shall I do? I wanted to go to Shrewsbury, but they took me on to Crewe.
Now, the film starts out with a title card with a producer's note. Come here a second. There's a title card that's put up by the producers. Drosh and I are not quite in agreement as to whether this was done in all seriousness or not. But it reads, well, you can read it. We're just going to put it up quick. You can pause your YouTube to read it. Okay. Really? Did that seem necessary to say that this is actually Karloff, even though he's not in his Frankenstein outfit, and we're just putting this up as a tribute to his versatility as an actor, when really he was just playing Frankenstein? It'd be kind of like here on Super Happy Awesome Movie Time. Okay, I'm wearing a hat. Last time we did this, I wasn't wearing a hat. So, by their logic, we would need to put up this title card. See? It really doesn't make any difference. It's still me. I'm just wearing a hat.
There's someone outside.
I love to play with the shadows. I love the atmosphere. I mean, he just piles the atmosphere on through this whole film.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yes. Pile on top of pile on top of pile on top of pile. To the point where it becomes in danger of the atmosphere crushing the story.
They just brought in Ben Levy to write a script, but was for a different film, I think, and then that film was put on hold, so they had Ben Levy there, and he made the screenplay, I believe, if I'm recalling this correctly.
Okay.
So Levy's was available to do the screenplay, popular film, instant fit for Karloff from Frankenstein. It wasn't a big jump from Frankenstein. I think he probably does more acting as Frankenstein than he does as Morgan.
He does.
So they were probably thinking big box office draw here.
Okay.
It did very poorly in the United States. It did much better in England.
Have a potato. Thank you. I should love a potato.
So, what did you think of this film, Jim?
I think I appreciate it. I don't think I liked it. I think I understand that this, as we said, was the genesis of a lot of different movie tropes, cliches, genres. Too many characters, too many plots. Towards the end, the atmosphere just got a bit overwhelming. The ending resolution I thought was kind of anticlimactic, and there just wasn't enough Charles Laughton.
And while I agree that any film could always use more Charles Laughton.
Mr. Christian?
I really love this film.
Okay.
The more I see it, the more I like it. I mean, I've had to watch it a few times now to build like a good, strong opinion and a good firm knowledge of it. And every time I see it, I'm picking up other things. I mean, there's levels of brilliance here.
Okay.
I see in James Whale's film. This, I think, now is my favorite James Whale film.
Huh. I didn't hate it, but it's just, I'm very glad that I saw it. And I'm just going to stick with, while I appreciate it, I really didn't like it.
Okay. Whereas we're disagreeing on this, and that's fine. Where I love it, I will watch it again. I bought a copy. This is good stuff. So, for Super Happy Awesome Movie Time, this has been Drosh.
And this has been Jim.
Good night.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
It's raining, it's miserable, and I've got this cold trickle of water going down my neck.
Oh, you are a cold trickle of water.
You okay back there, Pembroke?
Can't speak now. Lighting my pipe again. And again. and again, and again. Throughout this entire scene, I'm lighting the pipe.
I don't think we're going to get to Shrewsbury. I don't think we're going to make it anywhere. I'm unhappy.
I told you to take your pill this morning. Did you take your pill?
Well, this is a fun trip, isn't it? Stuck in the mud, stuck in the mud. Here we are now, stuck in the mud.
Oh, really? Do stop that stuck in the mud song.
Very well. How's this? I see a little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango?